If you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jonani Tulo Wepe.
SABC News. The African Perspective. On the Move with Benjamin and Palesa every weekday on Channel Africa, The African Perspective.
Good morning. Happy Hump Day. It is officially midweek and it's another day to embrace the African perspective as we do here every day on Channel Africa. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to the morning team, Pete Ndoro and Asanda Beda, who made sure that we got the latest news and information from the continent and the world over for the beginning of this day. It's 6 minutes past 9 Central Africa time, and it's time for On the Move with myself, Palesa and Benjamin Moshatama, with you for the next 3 hours. We have loads of conversations awaiting you, so come on in, do join us. We're on www.channelafrica.co.za. Find us on the SABC Plus app, as well as our audio bouquets, DSTV channel 802 and OpenView channel 628. Let's take a look at the conversations of the day. You know, when usually we say your big day, we're talking about your wedding day, and many people spend their lives looking forward to these big events where they get to be celebrated. I'm talking your wedding day, a baby shower, there's decor, there are flowers, and everyone comes together for that day to celebrate you. But what about those people who are deciding to remain child-free? What about those people who are deciding that they don't want to get married? Are we saying that other things in our lives do not deserve people who love us to come together and celebrate us? We're going to be looking at that. A brand new TikTok trend, in fact, that's been making waves, where a group of friends or just people who know each other come together every year. You buy a cake, and for every candle that each one places there, you're all celebrating any specific thing that has been a small or big win for you in that year.
Oh, shame. That's so sweet.
I think it is very sweet, and I think we do all deserve to be celebrated in small or big ways.
Yeah, I love
and
that.
We're going to be looking at that in today's first hour of the show, the joys of celebrating all of life
people who
wins.
do that very well.
Yeah.
I think women are able to kind of do that for each other very well, kind of celebrate these small milestones in kind of a big way, so yeah, that's such a good talking point.
Yeah, not often enough though, so we're going to be taking a closer look at that. We had a conversation not so long ago, Benji, I think it was on our GBV focus, and I mentioned a word called, or a phrase called purity culture. And today we're actually going to delve deeper into that phrase, looking at how society and popular culture, tradition, religion reinforces the ideas of sexual purity as a measure of a person's worth, and these people usually being women in our societies.
I think purity culture is something that happens where there is kind of a victimization of a particular person. It doesn't have to be of a particular gender, right? But it's based on sexual bias, right? And when you do that, it's based on your own inhibitions and your own practices. So you'd say, you know what, I don't think you should be a pole dancer because, it's from the devil, right? But then the two don't actually make sense, because you're not actually getting into understanding what pole dancing is, and then you think the whole thing is unclean, it's from the devil's work, and then you find yourself in a place where you are uneducated because you're not really getting into what is happening in that particular culture that you are discriminating against.
Yeah, we'll be looking deeper into that in the second hour of today's show. And And surprisingly, we'll also be looking at the impacts of those who might not be the victims of purity culture, but how it impacts society as a whole if we keep holding on to these particular notions. We wrap up with our Live Well feature. And of course, today we're speaking about premature birth, something that is very important and has impacts quite a lot of people, about precautions and measures that can be taken to prevent premature birth. And of course, an expert will be chatting to us on that in today.
Yeah, stay in touch with us right here on Channel Africa. We've got that WhatsApp number in our 3-hour journey, +2763 4069126. So engage with us on our socials at Channel Africa 1 everywhere. I'm at Ben Moshatama on my socials. Bali is
at Palesa Voice.
Darubini ya Afrika na I am Henry Shakif.
Deogratus Bwire, wewe kama mkurugenzi wa shirika la kutetea haki za binadamu kutoka kule Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. Maandamano yameendelea kwa siku ya pili. Nini kinaendelea?
Kwanza mimi ningependa tusiliweke kama wafuasi wa upinzani. Kwa sababu kiukweli mimi nilipata kidogo kushuhudia watu waliokuwa wanapita barabarani hawakuwa kwa namna yoyote ile wamebeba bendera ya chama chochote cha upinzani.
Umezungumzia swala zima vitu ambavyo havijakaa sawa vinapaswa kurekebishwa. Vitu hivyo ni nini?
Hivyo vitu ambavyo havijakaa sawa tayari nimeshavisema huko. Najua kumekuwepo na mtiririko wa matukio mengi sana. Watu ambao wanakuwa wanapinga masuala kadha wa kadha ambayo yanaonekana kufanywa na vyombo vya dola kwenye mitandao au hata pia nje, wamekuwa wakichukuliwa hatua.
Darubini ya Afrika kila Jumatatu hadi Ijumaa kuanzia saa 11 kamili hadi saa 12 kamili jioni majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
9 to 12 midday Central African Time. On the Move with Palesa and Benjamin Moshatama.
It's 11 minutes past 9 Central Africa time. When I say, "Ooh, can you wait for your big day?" many people imagine that I'm speaking about probably a wedding, something, a baby shower, something where there's going to be decor, flowers, a venue, an entire room of people doting over you. Weddings and baby showers have become celebratory milestones in the lives of many people. But more and more people are deciding to remain child-free. Some people are deciding not to get married, and others are craving validation outside of these milestones that people say. And in fact, many people are saying, well, is that the only thing we hear that are worth celebrating in our lives? We have small and big wins in so many different ways. There's a new TikTok trend that I have been seeing where people or group of friends or a group of people are coming together once a year to celebrate their big and their small wins together. From getting a new job, consistent workouts, to spending quality time with family in that year, the group shares and celebrates the joys of all their wins. And today we're speaking about this. But before that, as I'm speaking about the TikTok trend, perhaps you can have a listen to this. All right, we'll get back to that video a little bit later on. Right now, let's bring woman advocate and the founder of Sisterhood Connect, Tobile Topsumkwanazi, chatting to us about the art of celebration and the joy that may come with celebrating all of life's win. Tobile, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Good morning.
The Channel Africa family, I must say, just being here in itself is a celebration. The fact that I'm connecting with you guys, the fact that I'm breathing, what a privilege. I think it's such an important topic that you're exploring and talking about. And I must say that at Sisterhood Connect, you know, we are always about connecting, empowering, but very significantly, we are about celebrating women, sisters, and queens. That is what we do. That is our service. That is our offering. And we have realized that celebration and celebrating others is actually a lifestyle. You know, when you can get to a point of nurturing and cultivating the concept of what it is to celebrate. And I think something that becomes very important in this notion, is actually being able to see life as a gift. Many of us need to see life as a gift. And that in itself enables us to bring more meaning. It strengthens our sense of gratitude and the way in which we just look at life. And sometimes it almost feels like it outweighs the challenges. And I think bottom line is we need to understand celebration as affirmation.
Yeah.
A celebration is it's like a human desire, Palesa. It's a human craving. The idea of getting support, endorsement, assurance, acknowledgement, and the idea of being seen, the idea of belonging, and not just waiting for the big perfect wins, but just daily affirmations.
Yeah. And we can have those affirmations ourselves, right? We can celebrate our little small things in our little corners and silos. But as you said, it is a craving, and many of us also crave the validation of the people in our lives. But unfortunately, it seems like if you're not going to get married, you're not going to get that celebration. You're not going to get a bunch of people who've been part of your life, for all your life coming together to say, today we celebrate you. If you decide not to have children, nobody comes and brings you balloons and say, hey, today we're celebrating you. So I want us to look at that, a joint celebration, because yes, we might have our own small wins and that validation that we have internally, but that external validation is just as important in human behavior, isn't it?
Look, I think external behavior, external recognition and gratitude and celebration is very important. But what becomes also important is having your own sense of worth, and recognizing your own power. And I think we are living in times, Balisa, where in our becoming, in our learning and unlearning as human beings, we are craving more personal, more emotional, more lifestyle breakthroughs versus just your traditional moments of celebrations, more than just your birthdays, your graduations, your engagements, your weddings. So are you telling me that if I'm not going to have an engagement, or I haven't had a wedding, I haven't had a graduation, you're not going to celebrate me? Or giving birth biologically and becoming a mom? I think those things are no longer a reflection on the full range of accomplishments. And I think it's important to realize our own sense of worth, and also just realizing that this is why we are part of communities. Because I believe that although we may have various communities or belong to various communities with various intentions, I think what communities do ultimately is that they speak life to you, they see you, you belong, they honor you, they build you, they refine you. And that in itself speaks to growth, expansion, and evolution. And you find that in partnerships, you find that in friendships, and ultimately those are moments to be celebrated.
Yeah, Tobile, someone would say who's more traditional, okay, I get this, and I'm still in this little box of mine because these are the only things I know that need to be celebrated. How would you reinvent this idea of celebration? What kind of moments then would you have to pick? Because I would then just pick anything to celebrate about myself.
Well, Benjamin, what an interesting question. And let's have a conversation about this. I think for me, ultimately, if we realize and unpack the concept of what it is to celebrate, right? I say that it's an affirmation, it's a human desire, it's a human craving.
Mm-hmm.
It's the idea of being supported, endorsed, and assured and acknowledged, right? But also, affirmations are things that you actually give to yourself. What is an affirmation? It's something that keeps you going. It's a sense of inspiration, it's a sense of motivation. So I'd have to ask you, what are the conversations that you are having with yourself? Why are you having those conversations? Are you actually speaking life to yourself? Do you know your own sense of worth? Does that make sense?
I think so, but not completely, because, you could pick any random moment, right, and say this needs celebration, right? But then would it be a real moment? How would you know that this is valid? Because what makes celebration is the encounter of something unique, something that is profound that's happened in your life, or something that is kind of unconventional, that is a moment, right? Maybe like we mentioned, all the conventional, traditional stuff, right? But I'm just thinking, what moments would we then, if we're living outside of that traditional stream, to say, these are the kind of things we need to start celebrating? And maybe I'm coming from a sense of, I just don't know. You know what I mean?
I think it's the idea of seeing life, first and foremost, as a gift, right? and seeing your own power, greatness, and worth in that. And I think to be more specific, it's just looking at your own personal, emotional, and lifestyle breakthroughs.
Uh-huh.
There's certain breakthroughs that we're always like working on, sometimes, many times, very silently.
Sure.
They're not public. We don't show people.
I get you.
And things like leaving, for example, a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
That in itself is like an achievement, guys. It is something to celebrate because perhaps you've been in a toxic relationship or partnership, or you've been working somewhere where it's just unbearable and all you want to do is leave, but you've had to work at it. So things like leaving a toxic relationship is a celebration.
I
Things
hear
like
you, yeah.
surviving a very, very tough year is a celebration. I think for me, it's about getting to a point where we're able to just redefine the way we look at life and not and just question things know that we're worthy. So things like even running the comrades. I've shared with you guys that I've swam the Mid-Mile a couple of times.
Nice.
And it's Mid-Mile season now. and for me, being able to get to a point of not just gratitude, but celebrating yourself is getting to a point where you are able to celebrate the things that you once thought you couldn't do, and now find yourself that you can do them. You've overcome them. So even getting out of, financial debt, even overcoming an addiction, which, whatever that may look like.
I love that.
And I think it's really just acknowledging real life challenges and getting to the other side of that. Those are the things that we want and need to celebrate significantly and give them just as much power. But I think we've been so socialized and we live in a world where it's always the big traditional things. And then we miss out. We miss out on the small everyday. I call it the everyday joys, the everyday wins. And I think it's important to be able to notice that and be in that and give power to the everyday progress, the things you once thought you couldn't do and achieve, and finding yourself that you've overcome them.
All right, Top. So let's take a short break. We'll come back. I think this is quite fascinating. And maybe many of us are going to start thinking differently about what we see as wins in our own lives. We're speaking to Tobile Tops Mkwanazi, speaking about celebrating all wins. Stay with us.
Siyabangena manje. Vito iJabulani Nkolele iMagoda. Jabulani is a young man from Giyani in Limpopo in South Africa. Very easy guy, taking things easy. To know me is to know that I love what I do, which I'm crazy about it. So when you hear me on radio, expect the best. Expect great music. Expect great content. Expect 180 minutes of nothing but fun. You'll find me on the morning reset, 3 to 6 a.m., Monday to Friday. Siyabangena baba. Ay. Mbuleke.
The rhythm of Africa, the pulse of the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective.
I'm Ruthie, and I have my new big girl job this year. Hi, I'm Anna. I contributed to my retirement fund this year.
Hey, my name's Ali. I got a new job. Hi, I'm Jason, and I started working out this year. Hi, I'm Kevin, and I'm getting better at volleyball. Hi, I'm Jeremy. I met a lot of Canadians this year.
Hi, I'm Ria, and I finished long distance this year.
I'm Hanson, and I got married this year.
I'm Kitty, and I got my first pull-up.
Steven, and I did 75 hard with Joyce.
I'm Joyce, and I'm happy 75 hard became a lifestyle. I'm Jazz, and I went solo backpacking. I'm Mary, and I spent a lot of quality time with family this year.
I'm Tuba, and I tried new hobbies this year.
Yeah, very cool. I kind of like these.
I find that so heartwarming to see, also to see and recognize what people recognize as wins in their lives. There are things that's so different, right?
Yeah.
Someone else said they just had a baby that year. Someone else said, hey, I did my first pull up this year. Someone else said, this year I spent more intentional time with family. The reasons that we have as individuals that we see as wins are perhaps the things that have been challenges for a long time in our lives that we finally decided we're going to celebrate
I
about
like the
ourselves.
guys like, hey man, I'm whoever. I met Canadians this year.
Yeah, I met more Canadians this year, and
All
for
right.
them, that's a win.
We're speaking to founder of Sisterhood Connect, Tobile Tops Mkwanazi, about the art of celebration. And I love that in that particular audio, because it just shows you just our capacity to celebrate. I mean, you know, when it comes to this art of celebration, especially these milestones that are more unconventional in our lives, I think it comes from a practice of gratitude, doesn't it? And I know this is a principle that you talk a lot about, Tops, this idea of, you know, if you don't walk in this idea of gratitude, then you're probably going to miss these moments that need to be celebrated.
100%. You know, what a brilliant clip. Thank you, Palesa, for that. I wish you had played it earlier on so that it would have like really supported what I was trying to say. But I think you guys are with me. Yeah, absolutely, Benjamin. I think it's just that sense of gratitude. And I think what I believe that celebrating small wins, right, speaks to more joy, happiness, motivation, inspiration, assurance, validation. But it actually speaks to the idea of like, you've got this, keep going. And what it does is that it really deepens a strong sense of gratitude. It's that idea of counting your blessings every day, looking at what you have, looking at what works for you, what you can honor, and building on that to achieve more things for yourself.
Yeah.
But that idea of deepening a strong sense of gratitude is part of it to get to a place where you can honestly celebrate life. And one of the things I've always said, guys, is that especially in moments or occasions, conversations, or when I'm emceeing, program directing something, honoring or celebrating someone or something, I've always said, whatever we celebrate grows. So it's important to give a moment to something or someone worth honoring so that person can continue to grow, expand, or evolve. I think Oprah even says it well. She says, the more you celebrate and praise your life, the more there is in life to celebrate. And I think we just need to get to a place where we realize that finding moments of progress every day that speaks to personal, that speaks to emotional, that speaks to a lifestyle breakthrough is something worth celebrating.
Absolutely. And I know we're calling them small wins, but I think what we're missing here, especially when we look at a clip like that where people are speaking about different things, some of them you're like, yeah, I met more Canadians this year. Is that really, I did my first pull up. Is that really a win? And then we identify it as a small win. But maybe we don't really understand the kinds of effort that an individual has to put for that win to have taken place and why it matters in their life. So I want us to speak quickly about identifying those wins in your life and the things that had required effort from you, that required progression, that even required sometimes emotional growth for you to achieve them, that can be seen as small, but perhaps to you really aren't.
Yeah, I think, we call it small, but is it really small when it's actually something that's quite worthwhile or meaningful or that really means something? And I think it's just that idea of sometimes we don't walk in other people's shoes. We walk in our own shoes. So
Yeah.
we have our own ideas and the way in which we see life. And this is why it becomes so important as well to not compare ourselves to other people and stay in our own lane. So the idea of just seeing life as a gift, the idea of just being able to slowly but surely seeing, the idea of celebrating something or someone as a lifestyle, a way of living, a way of showing up. It's small ways to just cultivate that differently every day and building on that. But I think one of the ways in which we can do that, Balisa, is just taking moments maybe in the morning or when you're closing up your day and just recognizing and reflecting on your day. Maybe you're not able to do that daily. Maybe you do that weekly. I don't know how often one takes stock of just the immediate actions and just reflecting on what worked. What do you believe was progress for you? Where do you believe you were able to take 2 or 3 steps forward? And just making that time to reflect and highlight the things that you did to get yourself to the other side. And I think that's a bit of progress. It's you made an example like working out. For somebody unconventionally, like going to gym consistently, working out, losing weight, is actually a breakthrough. It's a physical breakthrough. It's something to celebrate. And that means just being consistent and going to gym, whether it's every day, every second day, and so forth, and looking back and being able to look back and say, wow, I did pretty well here. And that also just fosters the inspiration, the motivation to keep going and working on yourself, as an example.
Yeah, Tobile, we have to leave it there. It's been wonderful. Thank you for giving us all those different nuggets of wisdom as always, and those wonderful actually examples of how we can actually harvest some things that we might think are peripheral and actually center them into our lives. Is such a wonderful artistry, I think. Thank you so much, Tobile. Where can people find you online, and where can people find out about some of the stuff that you do?
My goodness. So we're wrapping up the year. I'm exhausted, so you're not going to find me anywhere. So I usually am on Instagram, Tops Africa, also Sisterhood Connect, and we're also on Twitter. But I must be honest, I've been taking a bit of a break, just wrapping up the year, and I think we'll be back next year in full force.
Nice, man. Enjoy the break and have a good time, and it's always good to speak to you on such matters. Have a good one, Tops.
Thank you, guys. Brilliant. Take care. Bye.
That is the founder of Sisterhood Connect, Tobile Tops Mkhwanazi, speaking about the art of celebration. The lovely one, isn't it? Takes us to 9:31 Central African time. Let's get our sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
We start off with the cricket news this hour. The current South African men's cricket team continues to write its own history. The reigning ICC World Test champions completed a Test series whitewash against India, winning the second Test in Guwahati by a crushing 408 runs. It's the Proteas' first Test series victory on Indian soil since 1999. India, who required 549 to win the second Test and square the series, were bowled out for 140 in the middle session on day 5. Off-spinner Simon Harmer picked up 6 wickets for 37 runs in his 23 overs, his best figures in a Test innings. On to football news. Council of the Southern African Football Association, COSAFA, will host the second edition of the Confederation of African Football CAF Under-17 Girls Integrated Football Tournament, known as GIFT. 8 top clubs and academies from around the Southern African region will gather in Harare, Zimbabwe from the 8th to the 18th of December. The inaugural edition of the CAF Under-17 Gift Tournament was staged in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania in January 2025 and was won by local side JKT Queens, who beat compatriots TDS Girls 2-1 in the final. There'll once again be 8 teams present for the second edition, with the sides split into 2 groups of 4. CAF introduced the Gift Under-17 tournament to give club teams in this age group the opportunity to compete against their peers across their region. On to boxing news. The gloves are on and the stakes are high ahead of one of this year's final major boxing tournaments, Survivor, the eliminator round. This weekend's, the first of its kind, Golden Gloves event takes place at Emperor's Palace in Kempton Park, east of Johannesburg, and has a 2.5 million South African rands. Ricardo Malajiga, who is the champion in 2 divisions, will square up against Vice Para for the International Boxing Organization's World Super Flyweight title. It's Malajiga's 5th defense of his title, and his opponent, an experienced Filipino, has had only 3 losses in 28 fights. But Malajiga is unfazed.
Don't look down to any opponent. We prepare for all our opponents the same. You know, we're both young, 27, I think he's also 27. We're both young, we're both hungry. And the preparation went well. My team has helped me. My manager's always been in the gym, so I have to impress him as well, Brian Mitchell. And yeah, definitely the preparation went well. And come Saturday night, I'm going to my team once again. I'm definitely going to get a win, you know.
Pigelani Kumalo, who is trained by Nathan at No Doubt Management, will be gunning for the ABU middleweight title. 28-year-old former football player says the fight will be one-sided, but his opponent, Abu middleweight champion Don Juan van Heerden, says he will do the talking in the ring.
I've already told him I'm going to smash him, so there's no need to tell him, I'm coming for you, I'm going to demolish you. A lot of people think it's going to be an action-packed fight. It's one-sided. It's going to be one-sided. It's going to go my way, and that's the only way it's going.
Talking the talk and walking the walk. Everyone, the last few opponents said that. And what happened? You're no difference to any other opponent. Just another man standing in my way to take the belt.
And finally, Team Nigeria says they are ready and raring to go in the upcoming 2025 World Karate Championship to be played from the 27th to the 30th of November in Cairo, Egypt. The delegation features 5 athletes who have distinguished themselves through discipline, dedication, and strong performances on the domestic and continental circuits. The tournament has become a key platform for identifying and nurturing Nigeria's top female karate talents. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Figede Lingwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Conversations are happening, and Channel Africa is at the heart of them. We tell the African story with clarity, pride, and purpose, reaching audiences that matter to your brand. Partner with us and connect your business with listeners across borders in multiple languages and markets. For partnership opportunities, sponsorship, or sales, email us at partnership@channelafrica.co.za. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Thank you, Figile Lengwati. Let's get our latest business news now.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thanks, Palesa, and good morning. South Africa's Tiger Brands has reported a 31% rise in full-year earnings driven by strong volume growth and improved operating margins despite muted consumer spending. The owner of Jungle Oats and Koo Baked Beans says its headline earnings per share from continuing operations, a key profit measure in South Africa, rose to $1.25 in the year ended 30th of September. Group revenue increased 2.7%, lifted by volume growth of 3.5% and softer pricing as households remained under pressure. South Africa's Department of Trade, Industry and Competition says that there is bipartisan support in Congress, as well as in the White House in the US, for renewal of Africa Growth Opportunity Act, commonly known as AGOA, for 1 year. AGOA expired on the last day of September this year. The department was briefing the Oversight Committee on the status of trade relations with the US, including on tariffs. Deputy Trade Director General Xelela Mlumbi Peter says that the Senator John Kennedy has introduced a bill signalling an interest in renewing the program for a period of 2 years. She says that the U.S. Ways and Means Committee is still to discuss the matter, but the department's understanding is that there is support for the renewal of AGOA.
There's still bipartisan support for the renewal of AGOA, and also the White House had indicated that it is also in support of the renewal for a period of 1 year. What is expected will be a straight rollover of the current benefits to the existing members, which will mean that South Africa, once it is rolled over, South Africa will continue to benefit under the program.
Some marketing experts say empowering consumers is critical in tackling cybercrime. This as some South Africans stress over the advertised upcoming Black Friday bargains. Some studies show that last year alone, online purchases surged by 37%, placing intense pressure on the country's payment infrastructure. One of the experts is Shaylin Padayachi.
South Africa actually has a very robust and advanced payments ecosystem. So if you look at digital transactions, they've been growing so aggressively year on year because of the payment infrastructure and the inherent trust that ultimately results in for the consumer.
Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has met with Eni CEO Claudio Descalzi to review the Italian group's investments in the African country and discuss new initiatives. Eni, which is the operator of Egypt's offshore gas field Zohr, has pledged to invest as much as $8 billion in Egypt. In a statement, Eni says capital expenditures will focus on short-cycle infrastructure-led opportunities and extending the life of old assets in the areas of Sinai and the offshore Nile Delta. Oil prices recovered slightly after dipping to 1 month's lows in the previous session amid signs that Ukraine is nearing a peace deal with Russia that would likely lead to the end of international sanctions on Russian supply. Brent crude futures rose 19 US cents or 0.3% to $62.67 a barrel. US West Texas Intermediate crude futures gained 14 cents or 0.24% to $58.9 a barrel. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,453 naira. In Botswana, it's at 13.31. Kenya, 128 shillings, 767. And Zambia, 22 kwacha 89. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil, is trading at 5.38. Russia, 78 rubles, 72. India, 89 rupees, 15. China, 7 yuan, 8. And in South Africa, the dollar will cost you 17 rand, 24 cents. 76 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Gold $4,162 and platinum $1,544 per ounce. Brand crude oil is at $62.77 a barrel. For any business stories you would like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business in Johannesburg, I'm Tabisolo Hoko.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Wake up with gratitude, hope, and the African spirit. Channel Africa, now easier to access than ever before. WhatsApp us on +27 63 406 9126. No fairy tales, just the facts and the music you love on Channel Africa.
It's 9:45 Central Africa time. This is Sands. The song is titled Tiggy right here on Channel Africa. We're speaking about celebrating all wins. And I think it's a great time, especially around this time of the year, right? We speak about that a lot, a time for introspection. And when you really look into it, especially if you remove, I guess, what society deems to be something that's worth celebrating. So if you didn't particularly get married this year, if you didn't have a new baby this year, and the likes, right? Those big celebratory moments that everyone sees as the celebrations, the big days. What is it that you think was worth celebrating in your year?
I still think it's the traditional ones, right? My son turned 1 this year.
Yeah.
So that was such an important moment for me. Just seeing him grow has been one of the biggest pleasures of my life. And I've just been enjoying seeing him grow, enjoying life, speaking, developing, holding him, spending time with him. Sometimes I can't spend time with him, but just watching him grow has just been one of my biggest pleasures, right?
Yeah.
And it's a parent's thing. Like, I think that over time people get over you being a parent, but you don't get over it, right? You're just like, I love this little thing here.
Yeah, definitely. I see what you mean there. And I mean, we have to really think about that, right? Because not everyone does the traditional things that we all see. And I do really believe that everyone deserves to be celebrated. And in fact, even by other people. Yes, it's important for us to celebrate ourselves,
Sure.
which is where it really starts. If you have put in effort, whether physical effort, emotional effort, in trying to achieve something that has previously been hard for you, the same way someone would say, the thing I'm celebrating this year was spending more intentional time with family. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but if you're someone who really has struggled with maybe spending time with family, or maybe sometimes getting over some of the family traumas that you've had in the past, but this year you really worked towards it, and during that time you had your own growth, you saw your family grow, and you also saw just, the bonds become closer. That's something worth celebrating. And so I'm big on celebration. I also come from a family that's very big on celebration. And I think, and that's why I love a conversation like this, because I remember growing up and my best friend and I, we went to school together.
Yeah.
And in primary school, we're both athletes. But my family, because we're big on celebration, my family would come to each and every sports day, each and every event, like every single little thing, even if it's not like provincial, even if it's not against another school. And they would come and they would participate. And every time they did that, they would include my best friend and say, oh, come, if your parents aren't here, you're with us, right? And we're here and we have pom-poms for you and we celebrate you.
Sure.
And one big day was when we were, when we got nominated as prefects.
Yeah.
We had 2 celebrations. So in the first celebration, my best friend wasn't nominated as a prefect, and there was a big day where parents come to your school and do the whole thing. But then the school decided that there were a few more people that they wanted to, bring into the fold of, the prefects as well, maybe a week or 2 afterwards. And I went and I told my parents, hey, because it was a surprise to her that Jackie is getting inducted as a prefect today. And so she went to school, they did the thing, and when she came home, well, we at that point we were staying quite close to each other. And when she got home and showed her parents her badge. And this is not something to say that her parents are bad. They just didn't have the same traditions that we had in my family. And they were like, oh yeah, this is nice, because they didn't understand the extent of the importance of that particular event for her or for the school and, other people in general. And then I'm like, oh, okay, when you're done there, come over to my house. And when she came over to my house, we had already put a huge braai stand. We had put meat on the flame, and everyone everyone was there and everyone was ready to celebrate.
Any excuse for a party.
Any excuse for a party. But on top of that, it's something that she still speaks about and takes really dear to her heart today, that she was celebrated in that moment, even if it wasn't by her family. But she felt the validation of, yeah, I am important, and this thing that was important to me is as important to other people as it is important to me. So I'm very grateful for my family for that. We celebrate absolutely everything. It could be one of the smallest things, and it might seem like any excuse for a party, but for me it's been a point of seeing the validation from them to say the things that are important to you are just as important for us.
Yeah, I think that idea of celebrating others is also a muscle that we need to exercise a little bit more as society. And I think what we can gain from your story, from your family, is that you just didn't celebrate each other, but also you made the circle bigger and included even those who are in your world and celebrated them as well. So kudos to you guys.
Absolutely. So if you would do an annual celebration for even one thing that you've achieved, even if you think it's small, it might not be as small as you think, let us know at Channel Africa 1 or send us a voice note on +27 63 406 9126.
With gratitude for the voices, the rhythm, and the dreams that unite us all.
Roho ya Afrika inaishi katika kila hadithi tunayosimulia.
Each new day is a gift, a reminder to pause, to breathe, and to give thanks for the laughter we share and the journeys we take and the stories that shape who we are.
Cada nascer do sol, lembre-te algo pelo qual ser grato.
La vie est un voyage, parcourons-la avec gratitude.
Channel Africa, celebrate the beauty of life with gratitude for the voices, the rhythms, and the dreams that unite us all. This is Africa with Channel Africa, the African perspective. Be inspired. Stay informed. Channel Africa, the beauty of life. Now available anytime, anywhere with our new app.
This one is titled Seva. Gabon Stand Up. This one is coming from you. Oliver Ngoma is the name of the artist over here. We're having a good time. Happy Wednesday, or Happy Hump Day, as we know that is now, right here on Channel Africa. We've been speaking about celebrating all wins, and we want to hear what your wins have been in the year 2025. It is that time of the year where people are reflecting and saying, yeah, this has been one of my greatest wins this year. This has been the biggest event that has happened to me this year. And I think everything is worth celebrating. Well, that's just me, but many people are just like, oh, come on. Aren't we all just looking for a reason to party? And the celebration doesn't have to be a party. There don't have to be any balloons. We don't have to have flowers. And okay, we can have flowers. Look, let me not say we can have flowers and balloons. I love flowers and balloons. But if you don't want to have any of those things, or even if you can't have any of those things, what are the methods that you're using to celebrate those moments? I think are also great ways to find out, because people are like, okay, yeah, now that I've identified the things that I like to celebrate about myself, what does the celebration actually look like? Because I'm not comparing this moment to a wedding day where, people are going to come from all parts of the country and they're going to have flowers and decor and have a venue. I don't even have that money for a birthday celebration, because for many people, it's the only day sometimes that they get to actually celebrate or be celebrated is if it's your birthday. So what other methods can we use to celebrate ourselves or celebrate one another?
Yeah, I just think that's also a very good question, right? So how do you celebrate those alternative moments? Because they also need that financial backing as well. I think it's what makes things precious, right? It's just who you celebrate the moments with. And I think it's not necessarily you celebrating yourself that is the major thing. I think also just being seen by others that you are actually pushing in that direction that you want to, and them affirming that, hey, you know what, you are in that direction is kind of a powerful thing.
Yeah.
So I think what makes moments of celebration is not necessarily whether you have a big cake of multi-layers. I think it's just the people that you're with.
Yeah.
There's something magical about when you're gathering with people that validate you, that cheer you on, that give you that sense of purpose and sense of, you know what, we see your silences, we know what's happening in the background, we know what's happening in your struggle, and those are the people that I think that can make these celebrations amazing, right? When they're the ones who've been supporting you through this mission that you've been going through, or maybe going through this disencouragement, and maybe you've just overcome it. And then they're there to actually validate that, you know what, you're still here and we celebrate you. I think that makes the crux of the matter, the people around us.
Yeah, and also don't always just wait for the celebration. Don't forget to also celebrate other people. If the people close to you are telling you something that's precious to them.
Sure.
Oh, can you imagine? I haven't been going to gym for many years and this year I just reached my first month. Say that congratulations. Don't forget to celebrate them. Clap for the people around you and show them that validation as well, because they are just as important, and they don't always have to do those traditional things to receive that validation from those who are close to them. Well, we're wrapping up this hour of the show. Going into the second hour, we're speaking purity culture. It's going to be an interesting one, but for now, let's bring back Jolane Tulongwepe for our latest news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Top stories: Asawa, Nigeria security forces blamed for failing kidnapped school children, and U.S. presidential envoy to meet the Russian president next week. Good morning, I'm Jolani Tulongwepe. The families of Papiri village say security forces have failed their children at the school in northern Nigeria, where more than 300 pupils were kidnapped by gunmen last week. They say they had long called for security forces to come to the area, but to no avail. Instead, the village had arranged for volunteer men to guard the premises, but when dozens of gunmen on motorbikes stormed the school on Friday morning, the unarmed guards knew they stood no chance and fled. The attack on the Catholic school has laid bare President Bola Tinubu's faltering security efforts, which have been under heightened scrutiny since U.S. President Donald Trump threatened military action over the treatment of Christians. The South African Prisoners Organisation for Human Rights has called on attempted murder accused and alleged criminal cartel kingpin Vusumuzi Cat Matlala to cooperate with Parliament's ad hoc committee. Matlala will testify from the Hoshimamburu Correctional Facility in Pretoria this morning. Yesterday, his lawyers' attempts to get a postponement were unsuccessful. They argued, among other things, that Matlala's incarceration had negatively affected his mental health. The organization's spokesperson, Golden Miles Budu, says Matlala must come clean.
We say to him, go out there, the shortcut, open the floodgates, spill the beans. In fact, when he does that, he would save his skin and would save the skin of his immediate and extended family, his close and distant friends, and fellow South Africans who would be sympathetic if he just go out there and tell all of us, because he's the only one that knows what happens, and open the floodgates to an extent that he breaks everybody and become a lieutenant general from where he is sitting. He will become our hero.
Judicial watchdog in South Africa, Judges Matter, has called on the Gauteng High Court judge charged with corruption to immediately step down. The judge has been arrested alongside 3 others, including a leader of a well-known church. They will appear in the Pretoria Specialised Commercial Crimes Court today on allegations of corruption and money laundering. Judges Matter coordinator Alison Tilley says they are deeply shocked at the turn of events. Tilley has also called on the Judicial Service Commission to act swiftly and place the judge on suspension. Still in South Africa, in the courts, the latest annual report on the judiciary has revealed that the courts are struggling to deliver reserved judgments timeously. Chief Justice Mandi Samaya says as of the 1st of November, the Constitutional Court had 13 matters in which judgment was reserved for longer than 6 months. The list includes the EFF party's bid to challenge the rationale behind the National Assembly's 2022 decision not to adopt an independent panel's report into Palapala saga, which was heard a year ago. The Palapala matter involves the theft of over $4 million stashed in President Cyril Ramaphosa's farm. Maya revealed this during the presentation of the annual judiciary report yesterday.
The judiciary is acutely aware that judgments are not always delivered within the prescribed time, and that when this occurs, it unfortunately results in uncertainty in the law and any resultant impatience by litigants and interest groups is fully understandable. But we can assure everyone concerned that every effort is being made to deliver all outstanding judgments expeditiously.
And finally, the Kremlin has confirmed next week's visit by U.S. presidential envoy Steve Witkoff to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The meeting with Ukrainian officials comes as Witkoff seeks to close out a deal to end the war in Ukraine. While flying on Air Force One, President Donald Trump was asked about a leaked audio recording in which his envoy Witkoff appears to be coaching a Russian official on how to get on his good side.
That's a standard thing, because he's got to sell this to Ukraine. He's got to sell Ukraine to Russia. That's what a deal maker does. You got to say, look, they want this. You've got to convince them of this. That's a very standard form of negotiation. I haven't heard it, but I heard it was a standard negotiation. And I would imagine he's saying the same thing to Ukraine.
Recapping the top story, the Sawa, the families of Bapedi village, say security forces have failed to protect their children at the school in northern Nigeria, where more than 300 pupils were kidnapped by gunmen last week. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jolani Tulo Mwepe.
SABC News. The African Perspective. On the Move with Benjamin and Palesa every weekday on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Hey, 6 minutes past 10 o'clock Central African time. You are listening to On The Move. We're moving into that second hour of the show. We're speaking about purity culture today, which is said to encompass a way of society that reinforces an idea of sexual purity as a measure of a person's worth. Women are usually often societally judged according to a core principle of purity culture, which includes sexual abstinence and virginity as a concept. We know we have a lot of those on the African continent. We'll be speaking to Le Thabo Maluleka about the impact of purity culture just in a few minutes' time.
Yeah, absolutely. Very important conversations, because I don't think we understand how much these things, really impact society as a whole. And even those that think they aren't the victims of purity culture are impacted by societal cultures that are ingrained in our communities. So it's important to have these conversations, especially in these days, because we're starting to bring words to these things, right? And we've been seeing them happening in our societies. We don't really name them. We don't know what they are. And essentially, I've said the word purity culture to so many people who've said to me, what is that? Only to realize later with an explanation that, oh, actually, I've seen that. I'm part of that. It's happened to me. I see it happening to other people. Yeah. And I've seen how, people react and act around this particular notion. So today, if you've never heard the term purity culture before, we're going to break it down. We're going to speak about it. But we're also going to see how it shows up in our communities, how it shows up in our societies, and how it impacts all of us. That's coming up just in a bit.
Africa. It's time to plug into the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa, your go-to radio station that broadcasts in 5 different languages.
L'Afrique du Sud célèbre la journée nationale du
Kabla hujaitwa kwa jina la Double K or more of our forests have been destroyed.
Tamo kutulibwanji ndi Partido Africano da Independência da Guiné.
See, Channel Africa represents every corner of this amazing land. From Lagos to Cape Town, Nairobi to Dakar, we've got you covered with the freshest news, music, and cultures. So, turn up the volume, feel the rhythm. Enjoy the conversation. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Palesa and Benjamin fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
Those are the beautiful voices of the Kabuka Oriental Choir. That one titled So. So we're speaking purity culture after this.
Você é fluente em português? É apaixonado por rádio e quer trabalhar na África do Sul? Você tem documentos que o qualificam para trabalhar na África do Sul? Nesse caso, podemos ter uma oportunidade para você trabalhar no Canal África. Envie seu currículo e demonstração para Canal África at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Lembre-se, se você não receber alguma resposta nossa em 14 dias, isso significa que você não foi selecionado. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
The sound of Africa is evolving. Experience our new mobile app. Free to download, free to connect.
All right, so we're speaking about purity culture in the second hour. It is a philosophy that is permeating in different structures. It can be traditional. It can be also stimulated by religious beliefs. It is where there is a popular culture that reinforces the idea of sexual purity as a measure of a person's worth. And women are often societally judged according to the core principle of purity culture, which includes sexual abstinence and virginity as a concept. However, this culture is increasingly being recognized, and there are some harmful contributions that have been seen to the rights and freedoms of women in society. We speak to our guest today, social commentator Lethabo Maluke, who is going to talk a little bit about the impact of purity culture. Lethabo, welcome on the show.
Hi, Benjamin. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit. What does this purity culture mean to you?
So purity culture, how I define it, is like a movement that emphasizes the importance of sexual abstinence, particularly before marriage. We see it in Christianity. We see it in our own traditional beliefs. It's not limited to just religion or spirituality. It can manifest in so many different ways. And essentially, it ties your value to your ability to keeping yourself sexually pure before marriage. Yeah, that's how I define it.
And what do you think about it when you observe this particular practice?
I think it has kind of like derailed the kind of sexual positivity that you would expect, especially my generation, to advance. Because I think the common misconception about, being against purity culture or critiquing it or deconstructing it is that you are pro, I guess, hookup culture. Whereas it also impacts how people view testing for HIV, speaking openly about sexual health, how disclosing their status to their partners, therefore impacting their own safety, their sexual partner safety. It impacts how parents are able to structure conversations about sexual safety with their teens and people going into early adulthood.
Sure.
I mean, we also see it impacting in when people go to test at a clinic, how so many nurses and certain healthcare professionals hold hostility towards young people who want to inquire about their health, and they say, well, you should just stop sleeping around. Yeah.
So it's almost like mythologizing sex in a way, right, in our communities, to a point whereby there's not even an engagement with sex as a reality in our communities, right? From our parenting to also the way we are educating in our system, but also how we are offering even sexual services in our communities, right? What do you think has enforced this kind of thing? Because it's a broad church and it's happening everywhere in different parts of our society, right? When you look at it, what do you think is the root system here?
So it's several things. Firstly, we are in a very bad time economically, and during those times, people lean more onto religion. Like people become more conservative, they become more spiritual, because, when so many things are horrible happening around us, we need a higher power to lean on and to blame. And when we put an emphasis on this higher power, a lot of us revert back to finding favor with the higher power. So we lean into beliefs where we police how, oh my gosh, how am I showing up in religion? Am I worthy of this? Am I worthy of that? But more importantly, we're living in a time where no one is earning enough money. So a lot of women are being kind of like sold this idea through sprinkle culture. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it's kind of like this emphasis that women need to tune their image to be worthy in the eyes of men, like don't curl your hair like this, don't do this like that. But a huge thing that comes up in those conversations is body count. And a lot of women are being told that, well, if you have a high body count, no high value man will want to invest in you, and no benevolent patriarch will want to save you. So it's coming from the scarcity mindset created by capitalism, our terrible economy, but also a lot of us trying to find favor within our religions and trying to find a way in which we can be more worthy.
But I also see this in a lot of traditional thinking, that we have this kind of a thinking where there's a lot of patriarchal views on women. like this is not a fun example to make. I remember when I was a young boy, right? There was an obsession. Let's say if you liked a girl, right, where boys would say, "Is she a virgin?" That would be like a big question as a little boy in the 90s. I'm like, no, I wouldn't even understand what that actually meant because I wasn't even sexually active. But that was a cultural thing where sexual purity, in inverted commas, was kind of a reason why you should actually like someone. And I mean, I'm only kind of like in my teens, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I think this sexual purity also comes from how we socialized around thinking about sex issues just as a society in general. And I think some of these things also come from traditions.
Yes, you're absolutely correct, Benjamin. Because I think traditionally, especially in the Black community across cultures, we still view sex as something that is done to women and not something that women are in like voluntarily participating in. So if sex is done to women, we see it as a damaging act to women. That's why we see, I think, virginity as this thing that proves that you're not damaged, because we don't think that women are participating in it willingly.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, if you look at some of the cultures that we see in our African societies in particular, virginity testing still happens to this day in many societies as a traditional practice. We also have female genital mutilation in other parts of the world and the African continent, where young girls at an age even before they even know much about themselves are tested, are cut, are even, mutilated in their genitals for the sake of the pleasure of man in the future. You will remain in this way until you are able to pleasure a man. And we think that we're quite progressive these days, but even if you go and look at social media, two progressive people, men and women alike, you hear it in the way that we speak and how we address certain issues around sexuality, especially sexuality towards women, that this is an ingrained thinking that comes from purity culture. Why do you think it's so hard to shake off these ingrained notions?
I think so many of our beliefs about sex live in the hypothetical, right? And a lot of it is never put to practice because of the shame that we've created around talking. So a lot of the time when people understand or make an attempt to understand, like Benjamin said, you hear it from other people's perspective, right? You are not encouraged to do your own research. You're not encouraged to express your frustrations, but you're not encouraged to not know. People kind of live in this area where you're either an expert at sex or you keep quiet. But the only way you can be an expert at anything is by talking openly about it. And so for a lot of us to shake it off, we'd actually need to understand how these harmful beliefs are harming us. I mean, if you see it as something that's either good or bad, but you can't interrogate why, you'll never really shake it. I mean, something that I will say with purity culture and my journey of deconstructing it is that I realized in like the impact of it on my life was because I was raised in a very religious background in a Catholic all-boys school, and we went to these not so positive sex camps, as they called them, where we were fed a lot of sexual propaganda. And so when I started to trace the fact that a lot of my beliefs about sexuality were coming from a source other than myself, it became easy for me to deconstruct. And I think a lot of people would do well in, I don't know, even if it's just asking in a capacity where they feel comfortable, they'll start to move forward.
Well, Letabo, stay on the line. We're going to take a short break. We want to continue speaking about this, but also the impacts of purity culture on all of society, and not particularly those who have been victimized because of it. Because usually in a patriarchal society, it seems like men have the advantage from, being perpetrators of such cultures.
Yes.
But in fact, they become victims too to the same cultures that they continue to perpetrate. So let's go into that after the break. I see you everyone there on our live stream on Facebook. Rafik Wamatola, Alfred Innocent saying they're coming from Durban, KwaZulu-Natal. Shafi Magesi saying we're live from Machinga, Malawi. And Twaha Ibra saying that they're also from Durban, KwaZulu-Natal, listening to this conversation. Thank you all for joining us. Comment and let us know what you think about this conversation.
Ukatili wa kijinsia unaharibu maisha na kutenga jamii. hutokea nyumbani, shuleni, kazini na mara nyingi kwa ukimya. Lakini hauwezi kuendelea. Ukiona, ongea. Ikiwa unaumia, funguka, kwa sababu kutofanya lolote sio chaguo. Sikiliza vituo vyote 19 vya redio kuanzia Jumatano ya tarehe 23 Julai kwenye mijadala, ushauri, tamthilia, maonyesho ya elimu na mahojiano na wataalamu, manusura, watunga sheria na nchi nzima iliyoathirika na ukatili wa kijinsia kwenye vituo vyako pendwa vya redio. Piga simu 0800 428 428 ili kuripoti nyanyasaji au kupata msaada. GBV, ikomeshwe na wewe. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na shirika la SABC.
Call us on +27 63 406 9126 and contribute to the conversation.
Purity culture is the conversation we're having, joined on the line by social commentator and podcaster Letabo Maluge. Speaking about the impacts of purity culture, we've unpacked a little bit what it actually looks like in society. You might hear the terms like, I've never heard of that before, but I can guarantee that you've seen it happening in the conversations you might have had in the societies and the communities that we find ourselves in, perhaps even on social media. Such a progressive place, isn't it? But these notions continue staying with us through and through generations. Let's speak about the impacts of purity culture. You mentioned quite a few of them, but in passing, and I want you to sort of go deeper into that, because you spoke about how it might impact our healthcare system in terms of people not being able to get testing for HIV and AIDS, young people being afraid to speak about their sexual health and their sexuality. Let's go deeper into some of those impacts in broader society.
Yeah. So a few weeks ago, I had a doctor on my podcast, and one of the biggest things we were discussing is medical misogyny towards Black women who are making inquiries about their sexual health. And she often speaks about how there's so many diseases, illnesses related to women's reproductive systems. But when it's Black women, there's this bias that says, well, if she's coming to test here, maybe she's sleeping around too much. If she's asking questions, she's strong enough. If there's pain, abdominal pain, you know what? Black women are stronger. So we see this medical misogyny in practice towards Black women trying to seek help from the healthcare system. But also, it's disempowering men and women at the same time, because something I spoke about, I think even on my podcast as well, again, I'm quoting it again, is that a lot of men don't actually know the things that could go wrong with their own reproductive organs, because they think the only thing that they need to do to have a healthy sexual health is to just abstain or to have sex once while they're married. I mean, there's so many men who are so scared to go to a men's clinic, right? Because they're afraid of the stigmatization. There are so many men who are afraid to get tested for a cancer because they think, oh my God, if I'm exposed and naked, what does this mean? I mean, for example, there's this very common condition when men's testicles can move out of place and go into your bladder. But a lot of men don't know that, because purity culture even affects us in the smallest of ways, where you think as long as it's not related to an STD or an STI or HIV explicitly, it's safe. But then it's also impacting the need for comprehensive sexual education. A lot of political parties last year who had the element of religion as to why we had to vote for them were selling us these ideas that, you know what, vote for us because we will kill comprehensive sexual education because it's teaching kids about masturbation. When in actual fact, kids get to be empowered to know when predators are around them and such. But if you view this thing as like, we're teaching kids about masturbation, you make them more vulnerable to predators. So it's disempowering us in so many different ways. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. And let's also talk about the culture of crime that I think is also stimulated by purity culture, right? Because, you know, the whole premise that I even started with as a little boy, this obsession of the virgin, is also kind of something that I think seeps into the psyche of our rape culture in this country, because of how we see women's bodies and how we also have objectified them. But also this whole purity obsession is something that I think is linked to our bias.
Mm-hmm. Purity culture is rape culture in a lot of aspects because it has this emphasis on infantilizing women, right? Sometimes it even comes off as pedophilic. Because if there's this emphasis on women who have not been around, in inverted commas, who have no life experience, because sometimes it doesn't just stay with women who are not sleeping around. It also stays with women who are moving from relationship to relationship, even if they're abstaining from sexual acts. And when you start to view women like that, then your ideal partner becomes a 10-year-old girl. And it means that your ideal woman is a disempowered woman, a woman who cannot willingly make informed, sexual decisions. And it definitely ties into our rape culture because when you put virginity on this prize, it also grooms men to see it as something that they need to take and something that they sometimes need to forcefully take. I'm not sure if you've been seeing this clip that's been going around from this documentary where these two men who have a history of rape speak about the things that motivate them. And one of them unashamedly says that he was drawn to raping one of his victims because he found out that she was a virgin and therefore she became more prized in his eyes. A lot of rape culture is built on this idea of wanting to humiliate and wanting a power play. And if virginity in the way we see it is something that we view as infantilizing, then a lot of people are encouraged to rape as a way to dominate. Because I think a lot of people view rape as well as this issue of someone not being able to control themselves or having poor sexual discipline. But if we've been grooming men through these channels for years and years and years, decades, centuries, that, hey, sex is something that you should take and you should be the one to take it first from a woman, why do we get surprised when a lot of them are called to be rapists?
And the thing about these kinds of, societal expectations, particularly on women's bodies, you mentioned earlier a term called body count. It's something that we hear quite a lot, especially in modern day, where a woman's worth is associated to how many men she slept with. And with this glorification of the virginity, because I think virginity is just a concept, it doesn't exist. Medically, doctors have been saying that the hymen, can break when women are riding a horse or even just walking. And in fact, so many women who have had sex still have an intact hymen, which is that notion of virginity. So it is still a concept. But men are expected to say, well, you must have the least amount of men that you've slept with, so you must have been a virgin. However, men must have, by the time they get, it's a celebration. Men must have experience by the time that they get married. Who are they having this experience with? It's quite a big contradiction when we look at this purity culture, because the men who must have the experience are also the same men who must sleep with women who mustn't have sex.
Yeah, because if this purity culture is being sold off to men for them to be valuable, have we ever heard a man saying he needs to perform value to be worthy of being married? Have we ever heard of a man saying, I wish a woman will see me as sexually moral or just morally superior and sees me as valuable enough to marry? We don't hear that. Have we ever seen a man saying, well, he feels dirty, impure, or even damaged for having multiple sexual partners? We don't see that because we encourage conquest in men. We encourage men to be, adventurous. But more importantly, we encourage men to have autonomy because the issue becomes about whether or not who gets to have full control of their bodies. And unfortunately, we only encourage men to do that.
Well, we'll have to leave it there. Unfortunately, we run out of time, but I felt like this conversation could actually have gone on for some time.
But very powerful, yeah.
Tell us about your social media platforms, your podcast. Where can we find you?
Okay, on TikTok, I'm Little24, same thing on Instagram, and my podcast is called Young, Popular, and Opinionated. We are halfway through the season. We've discussed children's cancer, super gonorrhea, medical misogyny, and topics very similar to this. So if it's something that you're interested in, please do check it out.
Great topics.
Thank you so much. That's Letabo Maluke, social commentator, social media influencer, and podcaster, speaking with us about purity culture. Let us know what you think about that one. We are at Channel Africa 1, and our WhatsApp line is +2763 406 9126. Fikile Lengwati is back with our latest sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
First off, it's a cricket news. The current South African men's cricket team continues to write its own history. The reigning ICC World Test champions completed a Test series whitewash against India, winning the second Test in Guwahati by a crushing 408 runs. It's the Proteas' first Test series victory on Indian soil since 1999. India, who required 549 to win the second Test and square the series, were bowled out for 140 in the medal session on day 5. Off-spinner Simon Harmer picked up 6 wickets for 37 runs in his 23 overs, his best figures in a Test innings. On to football news. Council of Southern African Football Association, COSAFA, will host the second edition of the CAF Under-17 Girls Integrated Football Tournament, known as GIFT. 8 top clubs and academies from around the Southern African region will gather in Harare, Zimbabwe from the 8th to the 18th of December. The inaugural edition of the CAF Under-17 GIFT Tournament was staged in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania in January 2025 and was won by local side JKT Queens, who beat compatriots TDS Girls 2-1 in the final. There will once again be 8 teams present for the second edition, with the sides split into 2 groups of 4. CAF introduced the GIFT Under-17 tournament to give club teams in this age group the opportunity to compete against their peers across their region. On to boxing news. The gloves are on and the stakes are high ahead of one of this year's final major boxing tournaments, Survivor, the Eliminator Round. This weekend's first of its kind Golden Gloves event takes place at Emperor's Palace in Kempton Park, east of Johannesburg, and has a $145,000 prize purse. Ricardo Malajiga, who is a champion in 2 divisions, will square up against Vince Barras for the International Boxing Organization's W Super Flyweight title. It's Malajiga's 5th defense of his title, and his opponent, an experienced Filipino, has had only 3 losses in 28 fights. But Malajiga is unfazed.
We don't look down to any opponent. We prepare for all our opponents the same. You know, we're both young, 27, I think he's also 27. We're both young, we're both hungry. And the preparation went well. My team has helped me. My manager's always been in the gym, so I have to impress him as well, Brian Mitchell. And yeah, definitely the preparation went well. And come Saturday night, I'm going to do my thing once again. I'm definitely going to get a win, you know.
We wrap up with the golf news. South African youngster Christo Lamprecht has received a personal invitation from Gary Player to compete in the Nedbank Golf Challenge at Sun City from the 4th to the 7th of December. Lamprecht is delighted to receive the invitation from South Africa's Grand Slam icon. The invitation caps what has been a highly successful year for the 24-year-old Lamprecht. The former winner of the Amateur Championship and world number 1 ranked amateur made his professional breakthrough this August when he won on the Corn Ferry Tour. He went on to finish 9th on the Corn Ferry Tour points list to earn his PGA Tour card for next season. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fikile Lengwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Africa in business on Channel Africa.
The United States was very vocal at the beginning of South Africa's G20 presidency, and this is largely due to strained relations with South Africa at the time, that they were not really keen on participating. Where do they stand right now?
The U.S. is planning to take over the presidency of the G20 next year, and our understanding from them is that they intend to continue to do so, and therefore it is quite difficult then to be in a situation where you are not attending deputies' meetings or discussions during our presidency and then to take over the presidency next year. From a finance track perspective, there has been engagement. We've been working on a communique last week and this week here in Zimbabwe. What's important about that is that it's a consensus document. And so all the members in the room have to agree to the language that is used there. And our US colleagues have been part of those discussions and negotiations.
Bringing the African markets into your home. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
It's time for our latest business news with Thabiso Lehuko.
Business news on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Thanks, Palesa, and good morning. The president of the South African Local Government Association, Bheki Stofile, says that the 2025 National Members Assembly will focus on economic growth and how best municipalities can be equipped with the financial resources to improve service delivery. Stofile was speaking in Durban during the first day of the two-day conference, which brings together leaders from all 257 municipalities in the country. The Assembly is aimed at shaping policies, strategies and innovation for good governance and quality service delivery throughout all spheres of local government. Stofile comments.
Service delivery and the economy are twin brothers, and you won't have financial resources to render service if the economy is not growing. And that is why, therefore, it becomes critically important with that, and that is why we are going to focus into that conversation today.
South Africa's Tiger Brands has reported a 31% rise in full-year earnings driven by strong volume growth and improved operating margins despite muted consumer spending. The owner of Jungle Oats and Koo Baked Beans says its headline earnings per share from continuing operations, a key profit measure in South Africa, rose $1.25 in the year ended 30th of September. Group revenue increased to 2.7%, lifted by volume growth of 3.5% and softer pricing, and households remained under pressure. Some marketing experts say empowering consumers is critical in tackling cybercrime. This as some South Africans stress over the advertising upcoming Black Friday bargains. Some studies show that last year alone, online purchases surged by 37%, placing intense pressure on the country's payment infrastructure. One of the experts, Shaylin Padayachi.
South Africa actually has a very robust and advanced payments ecosystem. So if you look at digital transactions, they've been growing so aggressively year on year because of the payment infrastructure and the inherent trust that ultimately results in for the consumer.
Angola will roll over a $1 billion debt facility with the JP Morgan that is close to maturity. The country will seek to lower the interest rate of the facility when it is rolled over, the official said without providing further details. The original rate was not disclosed, but the Finance Ministry said in May it was just below 9%. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has met with Eni CEO Claudia Descalzi to review the Italian group's investments in the African country and discuss new initiatives. Eni, which is the operator of Egypt's offshore gas field Zohr, has pledged to invest as much as $8 billion in Egypt. In a statement, Eni says capital expenditures will focus on short-cycle, infrastructure-led opportunities in extending the life of old assets in the areas of Sinai and the offshore Nile Delta. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,453 naira. In Botswana, it's at 13.31. Kenya, 128 shilling, 767. In Zambia, 22 kwacha 89. The BRICS countries in Brazil, the dollar there will cost you 5.38. Russia, 78 rubles 72. India, 89 rupees 15. China, 71.8. And in South Africa, the dollar will cost you 17 rand 24 cents. 76 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Gold is trading at $4,162 and platinum $1,544 per ounce. Brent crude oil is at $62.77 a barrel. For any business stories you would like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business in Johannesburg, I'm Thabiso Lohoko.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Keeping you on the know and on the move. It's so easy.
I'll prove it all. Shall we go to the matter? Make we solve and cup and every time make you go better. I might be dangerous, but I'm on your side, on your side. I know you thought that I would come and break your heart. No, not today. No, not today. And I know you thought that I would come and let to your scars. No, not today. No, not today. You need a good hug, good sex and good love, someone you can trust. Don't worry about nothing. I know you're struggling with loving so hard. No, not today. No, not today.
Overheater, 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 overheater. Girl on fire, traumatized creature. Love and protect you like my sister. Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa. Speak of you highly and love you deeper. Open your doors, run you a hot bath, open your pores. Grapes and top wine, open your jaws. I'm nothing like them other niggas from before. I'm fighting the stereotype, I'm going to war. Let's go MIA, elope on the shore. Mrs. Me, them legs are gold, I'm Mr. T. Keep them around my neck till I forget to breathe.
I just want to listen to you. Tell me all of the things you want. Tell me all of the things you need. Just sit back and listen to you. Hold you close while I hear you out. We so close I can hear you breathe. 'Cause nothing will matter, 'cause nothing's the same. 'Cause when you're with me, let your past be your pain. 'Cause I won't neglect you, won't repeat the pain, the pain, the pain. I know you thought that I would come.
This one is titled Sade. It's Rotimi featuring Mayo Kun and Nasty C. We're speaking about purity culture. And if you're like, yeah, I don't understand, what is purity culture? Maybe I can give you examples of what it might look like in the societies that we're in. So things like when we ask women about their body counts, that's purity culture. When you look down on sex work, that is, consensual for women to participate, that is an extension of purity culture. Virginity testing is an extension of purity culture. Female genital mutilation is an extension of purity culture, and so many more things.
And I think it's because it's embedded in how we see women in their sexualization, in that we don't understand how damaging it is, right? It's not only just damaging to the women themselves, but to society as a whole.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, going back to that example, I'm not sure if it's boring or not, but as a little boy, I like this girl, no
Yeah.
do me so. My friends are like, is she a virgin? Guys, what do you mean, is she a virgin? I'm 11, Pali. You know.
And they themselves, the people who are asking
they
you
don't
this
know
question,
why.
are also just as young as you are.
Because they're like 11.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know, guys. And what does that have to do with anything? And that question doesn't have a resolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, it's just a question because that's what boys do. We ask each other these questions, right? Okay. And then you think to yourself over time, what does that question do to young boys who actually start investigating it, right? It means that if I ask this person out, it means that I have to sleep with them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That means I'm the one who's supposed to break the virginity as the boyfriend, right? And it's going to be a privilege of sorts and a crown of manhood to a large degree, right? And those are the kind of things that are bred into societies that inflict society.
Yeah.
Because those kind of things enable and create that culture of violence.
Yeah.
And as simple as it sounds, someone like, but Ben, how did you take it there? It actually does.
It actually does. And it's part of the reason why we are here, standing here today with a big gender-based violence pandemic, a femicide pandemic. It is ingrained in rape culture from something, purity culture is something that it ingrains and informs rape culture as well in so many ways. So it does have to bother us. It's harmful to all of us. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem like something that's going to end now, because that's the thing about, right, society and, you know, society, things that are ingrained in society. It's because even those who are victims of purity culture continue to perpetuate the cycle of purity culture. Where's there's misogyny and patriarchy, it gets internalized, and those who are supposed to be the victims play a role as well in perpetuating the culture and continuing the cycle. So it's something that will take a lot of time to get rid of, and in fact, it doesn't seem like it's going to be, out of our societies anytime soon, because people who believe in these cultures believe that their worth are also, closely related to these cultures. And so in circles of women, in circles of girls as well, there's a continuing of perpetuating the same purity culture that is harmful to those same people. Yeah,
but also there seems to be an interesting thing. There's a shape shifting that happens, right? From, it's not just, she's not just a virgin now, right? It's fine. Let's now shape shift it into a body count.
Yeah.
How many people has this person slept with, right? And I think that's another illusion that we are creating here, because we still commodifying the woman body.
Yeah.
And when we do that, it's for what reason? We must ask ourselves as society. So even these new terms that are coming in now, like body count, they are actually exacerbating these underlying themes of violence against the woman's body.
Absolutely. Well, you can have your say in this conversation. We see you on our live streams. There's a comment section there. Definitely comment your thoughts on the conversation around purity culture. But we also have other avenues, our social media platforms at Channel Africa 1, on X, on TikTok, on Instagram and Threads. We are everywhere where you can find us on the socials. And of course, we'd love to hear your say. It's not a complete conversation without your thoughts on it. So don't forget, this is a conversation for you. We'll continue this one after the break.
Africa Update on Channel Africa with Lulu Kabu.
Mozambique's opposition leader Venancio Mondlane has been charged with incitement to terrorism and disobedience. He faces a total of 5 charges. The charges relate to post-election violence that left hundreds of people dead. What punishment is he looking at?
The most severe charges are 2. One is incitement for terrorism, and also is being charged for mobilizing people for terrorism. terrorism during the protests. These charges are really serious and severe. If he is condemned, is found guilty, he could serve 10 years plus years in jail, meaning that he would be banned from political participation, mainly for the 2028 and 2029 electoral cycle.
The director of CDD, the Center for Democracy and Development, Adriano Novunga.
Africa Update with Lulu Kapu, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time. Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802. On the move, weekdays, 9 a.m. to midday. Only on Channel Africa. Hashtag on the move.
I think it's time we confronted the situation in front of us. And I think it's time we talk it out and forget all the fuss. And if it's not me, I'll have to understand, and I'll be out your way. No drama involved, but if you feel it's me, if you feel I'm the one, you're gonna need to make a way for me to see. But as for me, you're the one, and in my heart, time will come till the end. I'ma always be right by your side. But as for me, you're the one, and in my heart, time will come till the end. I'ma always be right by your side. I know you're the one, I know our time will come. I feel you in my heart, I see you in my dreams, I keep you in my prayers. I think it's time you admit that I'm the only one for you, yeah. And I think it's time you let go of all your fears and just trust me, babe, 'cause I know you are. And I know this isn't what you're meant to do. You have pure intentions, what is the issue? So just open up and let me see inside. Maybe you should just put your pride aside. But as for me, you're the one, and in my heart, time will come till the end. I'ma always be right by your side. But as for me, you're the one, and in my heart, time will come till the end. I'ma always be right by your side. I know we can make it, baby. Take a chance on me. Let me show you good times, baby. Take a chance on us. Take a chance on us. But as for me, you're the one, and in my heart, time will come till the end. I'ma always be right by your side. But as for me, you're the one, and in my heart, time will come till the end.
Hey, that is Elaine with her hit, You the One, 53 minutes past 10 o'clock Central African Time, right here on Channel Africa, giving you the best music here on the African continent, but also great conversations indeed. And we're moving into the third hour with our Live Well feature. And today we're going to be speaking to Dr. Rogers Mabatswa about the precautions and measures that can be taken to prevent premature birth. And we know that is something that should be a conversation that many people have, because each year millions of babies around the world are born too soon. Before 37 of weeks of pregnancy is the World Health Organization's estimation of the too soon number. So we'll be chatting on that one a little bit later on the show. But we've been speaking about pure culture. It's been a fascinating conversation, and I think that these conversations make us see that as society we still have a long way to go. So that was an eye-opener.
We do still have a long way to go, but it's the conversations that we're having that's opening up, bringing in new kinds of thinking. Educating I think is most important, because most people just, I guess many of us are just operating on flight mode, I'll say, right? You are born, you are taught, you come from a particular community, you're taught in particular ways, you're socialized in particular ways in those communities, and you see that as how life should be. But that's because you know nothing outside of yourself or outside of those particular teachings. So when we have conversations, when we go into communities, and even if one person who's seen as a rebel in a particular community goes in there and starts educating young women, starts educating young men, hey, these are the words to use, this is what this looks like, and these are the impacts this has, those conversations can trigger a different mindset in just one person is enough, because you don't change societal standards overnight, but perhaps one mind at a time. So having these conversations is one of the most important things to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we have an entire ecosystem where you can even find these conversations that we have here on Channel Africa. Remember, our website is very reliable. Go to www.channelafrica.co.za if you want to get our podcasts on some of the themes that we touch on. But also you can check out also the studio podcasts on our YouTube page. Just use that handle at Channel Africa 1.
Stay tuned to Channel Africa. Stream us on our new and updated website, channelafrica.co.za.
Make a new life for you. I've been in love with you since I laid eyes on you. Yeah, I wanna take you to the moon. Put stars for your roof. Ball you like politician. Reason I the hustle daily 2K. Girl I the trick, make a time my shoelace. Your body nice and you make a man brand new. Make a day your side is a wrong. If me know they cool, come put all the fire on me. Fire on me. Oh your desires on me. Come with the fire, mommy. Fire on me. Fire on me. Put your desires on me. Come with the fire, mommy. Fire on me. Girl, I know go act like I'm Messiah. Man, I make mistakes, no be kumbaya. I could matata, but I aim high. You never speaking for this. Your story never updates. Girl, I fall like see your face. But I'm 1,000 miles away. Fire on me. Fire on me. Put your desires on me. Come with the fire, mommy. Fire on me. Fire on me. Put your desires on me. Come with the fire, mommy. Fire on me. That way to the top, and we no go fucking drop. Nobody go fear than us. We sound like bees in a pod. Fire on me. Fire on me. Put your desires on me. Come with the fire, mommy. Fire on me. Never speaking for this. Your story never updates. Girl, I fall like see your face. But I'm 1,000 miles away.
This one is titled Fire on Me. You're listening to On The Move right here on Channel Africa. Black Bones coming through on this one. We're wrapping up this hour of the show. However, you can continue the conversations of this hour and the first hour on our social media platforms. We're going to be speaking about premature birth. So if you're someone who is expecting, who wants to have children, or even just someone's support system who may be having a child, maybe this is a good one for all of us to listen to. I myself was a premature baby. Maybe I can tell you that story after that. But let's bring back Jolani Tulongwepe for our latest news update.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Palesa. Top stories: the Sabah civil society groups in South Africa launch court action, and Taiwan's president warns that China is stepping up its military preparations. Good morning. Civil society groups in South Africa have launched a court application to force authorities to stop what they call xenophobic vigilantes from blocking access to healthcare facilities in the Gauteng province. The groups include Doctors Without Borders and the Treatment Action Campaign. They say patients are still being turned away from the facilities due to their nationality or a lack of identity documents. The group have also accused the state of failing to uphold the constitution and protect people's rights to healthcare. Claire Waterhouse is with Doctors Without Borders.
Well, at this stage, it is simply a lot of inaction, and what we've seen is that there's several of us who have brought this court case, and we've been working on this issue for a while. We've been asking the authorities to take action to make sure that our clinics are safe for anyone who needs to access them, and unfortunately we've not seen action, which has forced us to take this action now to the High Court. What we are asking is mainly to ensure that physical access to our clinics across Gauteng, but across the country as well, is unhindered.
The South African Prisons Organisation for Human Rights has called on attempted murder accused in alleged criminal cartel kingpin Vusumuzi Kat Matlala to cooperate with Parliament's ad hoc committee. Matlala will testify from the Kgoshi Correctional Facility in Pretoria this morning. Yesterday, his lawyers' attempts to get a postponement were unsuccessful. They argued, among other things, that Matlala's incarceration had negatively affected his mental health. The organization's spokesperson Golden Miles Budu says Matlala must come clean.
He said to him, go out there, the shortcut, open the floodgates, spill the beans. In fact, when he does that, he would save his skin and would save the skin of his immediate and extended family, his close and distant friends, and fellow South Africans who would be sympathetic if he just go out there and tell all of us, because he's the only one that knows what happens, and open the floodgates to an extent that he drags everybody and become a lieutenant general from where he is sitting. He will become our hero.
The families of Mapiri village say security forces have failed to protect their children at the school in northern Nigeria, where more than 300 pupils were kidnapped by gunmen last week. They say they had long called for security forces to come to the area, but to no avail. Instead, the village had arranged for volunteer men to guard the premises, but when dozens of gunmen on motorbikes stormed the school on Friday morning, the unarmed guards knew they stood no chance and fled. The attack on the Catholic Church has laid bare President Bola Tinubu's faltering security efforts, which have been under heightened scrutiny since the US President Donald Trump threatened military action over the treatment of Christians. Tunisian President Kais Saied has summoned the EU ambassador to protest what he called a diplomatic breach after the EU official met the head of a powerful union this week. This comes amid rising tensions with the country's largest civil society group. The incident marks the latest sign of friction between Tunisia's leadership and international partners over the country's handling of civil society or opposition groups. EU Ambassador Giuseppe Beron met with UGTT leader Noureddin Toubabi on Monday, praising the union's Nobel Peace Prize winning role in 2015 and stressing continued cooperation with Tunisia's civil society. Amnesty International has said the crackdown on rights groups has reached critical levels with arbitrary arrests, detentions, asset freezes, banking restrictions and suspensions targeting 14 NGOs. And finally, Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te has warned that China is stepping up its military preparations to take the island by force. He says Taiwan will introduce a $40 billion or nearly a $40 billion into defense budget to underscore its determination to protect itself. China has also warned it will crush any foreign attempts to interfere over Taiwan, saying it has the ability to defend its territorial integrity. The BBC's Stephen McDonnell has the story.
Basically, he said that China has been speeding up its military preparations to take Taiwan by force. He said that Beijing is continuing to increase its military drills and so-called grey zone harassment around Taiwan. There are even reports of such drills going on today. He said that for Taiwan, the most threatening scenario isn't actually war, but giving up. And he said that in his words, compromise to this aggression from the mainland would not lead to peace, but would actually lead to war.
Recapping the top story, the SAWA civil society groups in South Africa have launched a court application to force authorities to stop what they call xenophobic vigilantes from blocking access to healthcare facilities in Gauteng. The groups include Doctors Without Borders and the Treatment Action Campaign. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jolani Tulo Wepe.
SABC News. The African Perspective. On the Move with Benjamin and Palesa every weekday on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Hey, this is the third hour of On the Move with myself, Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa. 6 minutes past 11 o'clock Central African time, and we are moving into our Live Well conversations. And today is a sensitive one, and sensitive things still need to be spoken about. Doesn't mean if it's sensitive, we don't center it in the conversations. Today we'll be speaking about premature birth. How do you go around it when it does actually happen? But also, what are the precautions and the measures around that one?
It happens more commonly than we think it does. And I'm looking forward to just hearing from our expert today on how often this actually happens. But also, what are the different reasons that cause premature birth, that happened? Are there any precautions that you can take? Because sometimes it feels like something that you can't actually dictate, that you can't actually change for some reason, but perhaps there are ways. We'll find out a little bit more from the doctor today. That's Dr. Rogers Mabadzo, who's going to chat to us in this conversation. At Channel Africa 1 is where you can join in these conversations and join our live stream. You'll get to see the doctor, who is hard at work even now, so taking some time to actually speak to us while in surgery. We'll be looking forward to this conversation. We are streaming live on Facebook, that's Channel Africa, and streaming live on YouTube, Channel Africa 1.
Channel Africa and you have got something in common. The thirst for knowledge.
They tell me this, they tell me that. They say my bitch, say she a bad. Anytime I knock without rubber band, no rubber band. Every time I put down, they show me that. If I know loud, she got my back. Although you ooh, I'm happy that. Although you ooh, say everything I do is for my woman. Anything I talk, when you talk, I go do. Me I know they see another girl for my visuals. Loving you, now in my ritual. My girl, got me, she not stingy. She give me love, so you want it. All of the moves you've been practicing. Put it on top me. Girl, give me love for my moto. Girl, your light in my store. She and me gonna must go. She know they acting on so. Say everything I do is for my woman. Anything I talk, when you talk, I go do, Me I know they see another girl for my visuals. Loving you, now in my ritual. Me I know they share my chain. I know they like your pain. My girl, they make me sing. She understand my pitching. Like wangala. Oh, mangala. I put back out for her belly. My girl, got no problem. Oh, all of a sudden, she say me I go be Two-Face and my colleague. Okay, my baby. Oh, all of a sudden, she say me I go be Two-Face and my colleague. Okay, my baby. Say anything I do is for my woman. Anything I talk, when you talk, I go do, Me I know they see another girl for my vision.
This one is by O'Malley. It's titled Women. Quite relevant, that conversation, because women are the bearers of children, those who give birth. And we'll be speaking about giving birth, however, prematurely, in the conversation we'll be having on Live Well today.
The Morning Switch Weekend with the Shy Guy.
The story that takes us to Zambia. There are two men actually that were sentenced to prison for the plot to kill the president with witchcraft. You go like, what? So these guys were arrested actually in Lusaka. And what was found on them was a live chameleon. Can you believe that? Animal tails and bottles of concoction. That law takes us back to 1914, which is the Witchcraft Act. I can imagine now arrested and they go to jail for the next 2 years. You know, I presume that when you get to jail, they get to ask you actually, what is it that you committed? Now, this is the first of its kind, by the way, for somebody to be arrested for such. They in Pemba, whenever they pass, hey, Chikanga, hey, Uloya, hey, Mulosi. And imagine here I am in these early hours of the mornings, I get to talk about witchcraft.
Saturday and Sunday mornings belong to the Morning Switch. 3 to 6 a.m. Central African Time. Your life, your rhythm, your Africa. Channel Africa. Find it for free on Google Play and the Apple App Store. Hashtag on the move and connect with us.
One of my favorite stories to hear is every time I ask my mother about the story of my birth. It's a very complicated story indeed, as I was months premature. So it was a story of me actually being told that I wasn't going to live, being so tiny, so small and underdeveloped that I wasn't actually able, or I wasn't supposed to make it. But it was also a story of resilience, of some of the things that my mother had to do to make sure that I did live eventually. And also a miracle story to some point.
Miracle baby.
Yes, a miracle story to some point where the doctors were shocked that months later I was actually a thriving and bouncing baby. So this one is a story that comes close to home. Each year, millions of babies around the world are born too soon, and that is described as born between 37 weeks of pregnancy, and they face increased risks of health complications and developmental challenges. Experts highlight the importance of simple yet effective interventions in supporting preterm infants. Kangaroo mother care, breastfeeding support, and emotional counseling for parents can make a long-lasting difference in survival and development outcomes. Joining us on the line is Dr. Rogers Mabatswa, talking to us about the precautions and measures that can be taken to prevent premature birth. Dr. Mabatswa, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know you're in a very precarious position this morning, and for someone who saves lives and brings life into the world, we're hopefully not going to take too much of your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Mabatswa, are you there? Okay, I'm going to try and check if Dr. Mabatswa is on the line. You know, as we were speaking to him earlier, this morning had an emergency C-section to do. And so even through this conversation, I hear the patient is under anesthesia and he's still in theatre busy with that. So we're going to try and see if we can get hold of him, get him on the line and have this important conversation.
Annika Longi sur Channel Africa.
Comment est-ce que les militants et sympathisants du parti Les Transformateurs ont-ils réagi face à la condamnation de Succès Masra?
La condamnation de Succès Masra ne nous a pas surpris et les militants transformateurs ont été bouleversés et indignés étant donné que le verdict est un verdict lourd, illégal, injuste et donc face à la répression dans laquelle le peuple tchadien est confronté, les militants transformateurs se sont résignés de ne pouvoir pas sortir manifester. Et donc, c'est une situation totalement absurde pour un pays. Et aujourd'hui, nous célébrons le 11 août, fête de l'indépendance. On pensait que le verdict allait être plus ou moins clément, mais le verdict est sévère.
Annika Longi, tous les dimanches sur Mix Vibration.
madapiri pazochitika. Madapiri pazochitika.
Inogeka Zingeni Chihana lumbiritsidwa kukhala wachiwiri kwa mtsogoleri wa dziko la Malawi pa mwambo omwe unachitika ku nyumba ya chifumu ya Sanjika mu mzinda wa Blantyre. Ndiye pano tili ndi olemekezeka a Chihana. Takulandirani olemekezeka pano pa wireless ya Channel Africa pa Chinyanja Service. Amalawi ayembekezere zotani kuchokera kwa inu ngati wachiwiri winanso kwa president wa dzikolo?
Choyamba ngati vice president umagwira ntchito yopatsidwa ndi president imene yakuganizira. Ndiye malowozi athu atipatsa bwinobwino, koma ntchito yathu yayikulu ndi kuwathandiza president kuti masomphenya awo yakwanitsidwe. Pali zambiri zoti zichitike, nkhani ya njala mdziko muno, boma la udakali chimanga ndi china chomwe chili mdziko muno kuti tithandize ana families are affected. Chachiwiri kunali ma fuel shortages amene akanaliponso apo ndi apo, tionetsetse kuti pumps athu asakhale dry.
Zochitika pa nthawi ya 6 koloko kufikira 7 koloko madzulo, lolemba mpaka lachisanu ndi madapiri.
Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move.
Okay, let's do it like this. Yeah, she probably think I'm moving on. I tried telling her, baby, I'm never leaving. I want to cherish the bond. She tired of holding on. She tired of being strong. Tired of thinking about me when I'm gone. Money on my mind, I'm focused on paying bills. I should have focused on showing her how I feel. I should have focused on giving her something real, something so she could heal.
Please don't take your loving away from me. Oh, Sky, I've been right here with you. Don't take your loving away from me. Oh, Sky, I've been right here with you.
It's Venom and Shishiliza. This one is titled Sondela right here on Channel Africa. Unfortunately, Dr. Rogers Mabatwa did have an emergency. There's a birth happening. In fact, an emergency C-section. So when we did get him on the line earlier, he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I did obviously don't really have, what's the word? You don't really have control over these things sometimes. Birth, you don't have control over birth all the time. So he did have an emergency C-section. He was on the line saying, okay, I'll hold on as long as I could. But he did have to go back into theatre to go perform that emergency life-saving C-section, life-giving and life-saving C-section.
No, we don't want to halt.
We don't want to halt that at all. But I still do have a story to tell, the story of my own premature birth that I'll tell you after this break. It's 20 minutes past 11 Central Africa time.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine. Weekdays, 6 till 9.
The South African Medical Association, SAMA, has officially suspended all relations with the Israeli Medical Association, a move welcomed by healthcare workers for Palestine, South Africa. The organization says this decision represents a powerful stand for medical ethics, justice, and human rights, echoing the global call for solidarity with Palestinians.
And recently, we've also seen other national associations, such as the British Medical Association, Turkish. They've released quite strongly worded statements, although none have gone as far as SAMA to cut ties with the Israeli Medical Association, as well as to call for the suspension from the World Medical Association. It's a watershed moment that an organization has actually taken this step. And it's not an idle threat. SAMA is a member of the World Medical Association, and they can action this resolution by bringing it before the World Medical Association.
Dr. Sadiq Mullah, chairperson of Healthcare Workers for Palestine, South Africa.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine. Palesa and Benjamin fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
So we're speaking about premature birth. We're supposed to be speaking to Dr. Rogers Mabatwa, who was a guest for today. However, he had to go in theatre and perform an emergency C-section. But this is my favorite story to hear every time I ask my mom to tell me again. I'm sure she's told me so many times the story of my birth. So it turns out I was born 3 months premature. And I went there. Of course, my mom went to the hospital. My parents went to the hospital. I was born in Baragwanath Hospital in Soweto. And I was as tiny as a palm. Literally the size of a palm is how my parents describe how tiny I was when I was born. And of course, as you see with most premature children, with that size, you're hooked up to all sorts of machines, hooked up with all sorts of things and drips coming in and out of your teeny tiny little hands and your body. And so my mother had to spend quite a lot of time in hospital. In fact, she couldn't go home, right? She had a premature child in the hospital hooked up to all these machines with very little chances of that child living. As many, unfortunately, premature children have a much slimmer chance of living, especially, the more premature you are. So it was one of those cases, very, very extremely premature with very slim chances of living as a baby. My mom stays in the hospital. 1 month goes by. I'm still in the hospital. She's there. 2 months go by. I'm still in the hospital. She's there. My mom has 2 more children at home. So me and my sisters are all 4 years apart. So I'm the last born. There's 3 of us, my siblings and I. My eldest sister at the time was 8 years old, and my middle sister at the time was 4 years old. And then the 4-year-old, my middle sister, gets measles or something. She falls ill at home. And the 8-year-old is obviously struggling as well, with my mom gone, and my dad is there as well. So now she's got lots of decisions to make. One of her child is very sick. She's got this one in hospital that she spent now, I think, around 3 months in hospital with. I was born in April, so it's like May, June. It's now July, and we are still in the hospital. I'm still hooked up to all the machines, and I don't look well at all. And then my mom decides, you know what? I can't keep staying here. I can't just stay at the hospital forever. So I'm going to go home. I'm going to take my baby and go home. So she calls the doctor and say, hey guys, I have other children at home, things that are happening. I have to go home. And the doctor says, no, ma'am, you can't go home. If you leave here with this baby, as you can see, they're still hooked up to all sorts of machinery. They're not going to make it. Your child is going to die if you leave this hospital with her. And she insists. My mom says, you know what? I have to go. Unfortunately, that's the decision I have to make. And they make her sign an indemnity form that this is my decision. I have made my clear consensual decision to remove this baby, and anything that happens here will not be the fault of the hospital. My mom signs the forms. She puts me in a lot of blankets. And when we left the hospital, it was a rainy day. So she covers me in blankets, wrapped up, all in those blankets. And she does exactly that. She goes home with me. But on her way home, she stops by a pharmacy. And pharmacies used to sell very different things. Now, I don't think the things that, I'm going to mention still exist in the pharmacies in the method that they did. My mom went into the pharmacy and went to go buy every kind of vitamin drop that they sold in that pharmacy, C, B, and all these other drops. So they used to sell them in little vials, little vitamins in little vials. And she bought all the vials that she could, and then she went home. She got home, and then she got into the bedroom, her bedroom with my dad, of course, and turned on the heater up, and she was just sitting there incubated in a hot room and breastfeeding me 24/7, breastfeeding and just putting these vitamin drops in my mouth, breastfeeding vitamin drops. Some of the funniest things that people hear is that my dad, when he saw me for the first time, obviously, little babies, especially premature ones, they don't look good. They don't look cute and cuddly like all the other babies look, right? They're very thin skin, you can almost see their veins. They almost look like little mice, if you've seen what little mice look like. And my dad said, oh, Tenji, which is my mom's name, die kind is sick, Tenji. Lost die kind. Lost die kind, Tenji. Die kind is sick. Meaning, take this child back to the hospital. Or just it's okay. If she's not going to make it, we understand. Because the way this child is looking does not look good. One of my aunts came to visit as my mom was in that incubated room, walks in, and the heat hits you with a bang. As you open the door of that room, the heat just comes at you. That's how hot that room was. And then my mother needed the bathroom. And my aunt hadn't seen me before. And I was wrapped, like I said, I was always wrapped in these blankets.
Sure.
And so my mom went to the bathroom, and then that's the opportunity because my mama was always holding me. And that's the opportunity my aunt had to come and see the baby. So she opens the blanket and she screams at the top of the you. Also, Xhosa women are very dramatic, by the way.
Sure.
And my mother's Xhosa, and so are her sisters. And she screams at the top of the lungs. And my mom was like, what's going on? She's like, yo, mntana sekhaya. Ngeke sikublame. Buyisela lo mntana esibhedlela, mntana sekhaya ngeke. Meaning say, take this child back to hospital. This child is in a bad state. And
Did
my
they
mom
take you
was
back?
No. And my mom was like, just leave my baby alone. You know how mothers will see their children in the eye where nobody else will see them.
Yes.
They'll see them very different. And she's like, this child is going to be fine. She's going to be healthy. And true to that, eventually I was fine, and eventually I was healthy. And for the first time that I had to go and do my checkups after that moment where my mom took us out of hospital, the doctors were in awe. They came in and said to my mother, Mama, we know you African women. You have your things with the sangomas that you do. Tell us what you did so we can tell the other mamas of the premature babies what you did. Because we really were certain that your child wasn't going to live. And that is the story of my birth.
Miracle baby Pali.
Yes. And now I'm taller than all my siblings.
From being
the tiniest, the hand the size of a palm, to being taller than almost every other woman I know, in fact, in my family.
That's wonderful. That's a wonderful story.
Yeah, it's a wonderful story. But I mean, I could have died. And that's why I think it's also one of the things that make me so happy to celebrate almost every tiny thing in my life. Because if I'm here anyway, there must have been reason why I lived in the first place. Yeah. So might as well enjoy living in this world and really take it to the fullest. Maybe I'm a little extra because I'm like, hey guys, I wasn't supposed to be here in the first place. I might as well enjoy every moment that I have.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, it's those miracle moments, right, that make us who we are in life, right? And it's amazing how also a mother's care and a mother's instinct can kind of take over in a particular moment, and how mothers know how to actually take some difficult moments and actually harvest something of a shelter, even in those particular moments. And I still think mothers are just giants that are still need to be elevated a little bit more on our planet.
Absolutely. I love you, Mommy. Thank you for making sure that I live. It's almost 11:30 Central Africa time. Let's bring Fikile Lengwadi in with our latest sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
We bet off with cricket news. The current South African men's cricket team continues to write its own history. The reigning ICC World Test champions completed a Test series whitewash against India, winning the second Test in Guwahati by a crushing 408 runs. It's the Proteas' first Test series victory on Indian soil since 1999. India, who required 549 to win the second Test and square the series, were bowled out for 140 in the middle session on day 5. Off-spinner Simon Harmer picked up 6 wickets for 37 runs in his 23 overs. His best figures in a Test innings. On to rugby news. The Lions are well rested ahead of their showdown with the Bulls at Loftus Versfeld in round 6 of the United Rugby Championship on Saturday afternoon. When the URC broke for the international window a full month ago, the Joburg side scored a famous win over Ulster to put their season back on track. Lions captain Frankie Horn wants to make sure the Joburg side capitalizes on its win over Ulster with more of the same against the Bulls.
You only win the URC in June, and I think that's quite important. Yeah, you did win Ulster, but that's not going to help us or, count for anything if we don't back it up this weekend. So if you go into the game with that mindset that every single game you need to be at your best, and we as a team need to play to our full potential, and then the result looks after itself, and by that every week will look after itself.
The Lions will be without their 2 Springboks, Monet van der Berg and Asenat Ntlabaganye, who are still on national duty. It means that squad rotation comes into effect. According to assistant coach Barend Pieterse, it is necessary to mix up the squad anyway, because after the Bulls, the Lions have 2 European Challenge Cup matches home and away, and then the Stormers in Cape Town in the middle of December.
Going into the EPCR, we've already had the discussion. I mean, we will be silly just to pick one team the whole time going through the whole season. So there is going to be opportunities for players to maybe start against Benetton and Newcastle, and then hopefully have some more fresh legs, for the Stormers game.
On to football news. The Council of Southern African Football Association, COSAFA, will host the second edition of the Confederation of African Football CAF Under-17 Girls Integrated Football Tournament, also known as GIFT. 8 top clubs and academies from around the Southern African region will gather in Harare, Zimbabwe from the 8th to the 18th of December. The inaugural edition of the CAF Under-17 Gift Tournament was staged in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania in January 2025 and was won by local side JKT Queens, who beat compatriots TDS Girls 2-1 in the final. There will once again be 8 teams present for the second edition, with the sides split into 2 groups of 4. CAF introduced the Gift Under-17 tournament to give club teams in this age group the opportunity to compete against their peers across the region. Now, golf news. South African youngster Christo Lamprecht has received a personal invitation from Gary Player to compete in the Nedbank Golf Challenge at Sun City from the 4th to the 7th of December. Lamprecht is delighted to receive the invitation from South Africa's Grand Slam icon. The invitation caps what has been a highly successful year for the 24-year-old Lamprecht. The former winner of the Amateur Championship and world number 1 ranked amateur made his professional breakthrough this August when he won on the Corn Ferry Tour. He went on to finish 9th on the Corn Ferry Tour points list to earn his PGA Tour card for next season. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Figile Lingwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Conversations are happening, and Channel Africa is at the heart of them. We tell the African story with clarity, pride, and purpose, reaching audiences that matter to your brand. Partner with us and connect your business with listeners across borders in multiple languages and markets. For partnership opportunities, sponsorship, or sales, email us at partnership@channelafrica.co.za. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Start your day right with Channel Africa Breakfast.
That smells delicious.
Live, 5 days a week.
Thank you for that sports update, Figile Lengwati. Tabiso Lehoko has our latest in business.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thanks, Palesa, and good morning. Burkina Faso is hosting an international conference on women in business. Women from different parts of the continent and in diaspora have converged on the capital city, Ouagadougou. The event has brought together thousands of women from across Africa and the diaspora to discuss women's roles in business and industrialization. Sophie Mukwena reports.
Burkina Faso, the land of the brave, the country is still recovering from the political upheaval of 2022 that led to the military coup. The military leader, Captain Ibrahim Traore, is trying to rebuild the economy, and the Women Conference is part of the campaign to attract investors.
State-owned Uganda National Oil Company has identified 9 potential oil wells in the Kasuruban block with significant new crude oil deposits. The find potentially increases crude resources in Uganda's Albertine Rift Basin, where France's Total Energies, China's CNOOC and UNOC already operate 2 development fields that are expected to start commercial production in the second half of the year. UNOC acquired a 1,285 square kilometer Kasuruban exploration block in 2023 after signing a production sharing agreement with the government. President of the South African Local Government Association, Bheki Stofile, says the 2025 National Members Assembly will focus on economic growth and how best municipalities can be equipped with financial resources to improve service delivery. Stofile was speaking in Durban during the first day of the 2-day conference, which brings together leaders from all 257 municipalities in the country. The assembly is aimed at shaping policies, strategies and innovation for good governance and quality service delivery throughout all spheres of government. Stofile comments.
Service delivery and the economy are twin brothers, and you won't have financial resources to render service if the economy is not growing. And that is why, therefore, it becomes critically important with that, and that is why we are going to focus into that conversation today.
Some marketing experts say empowering consumers is critical in tackling cybercrime. This as some South Africans stress over the advertised upcoming Black Friday bargains. Some studies show that last year alone, online purchases surged by 37%, placing intense pressure on the country's payment infrastructure. One of the experts is Shailen Padayachi.
South Africa actually has a very robust and advanced payments ecosystem. So if you look at digital transactions, they've been growing so aggressively year on year because of the payment infrastructure and the inherent trust that that ultimately results in for the consumer.
A general strike in Belgium is expected to cause widespread disruptions today. Some flights and train services have already been cancelled. More workers are expected to walk out on the 3rd day of industrial action that has affected schools, hospitals and public services. The BBC's Nick Bick has more.
Unions have condemned planned changes to VAT, unemployment benefits and pensions, but ministers say the proposals are the only way to fix the nation's finances. Belgium has the fourth highest level of debt in relation to the size of the economy in the EU, behind only Greece, Italy and France. Following months of intense debate, the five-party nationalist-led Belgian coalition government has just agreed on a national budget, but the breakthrough proved too late to avert all the planned industrial action.
$1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,453 naira. In Botswana, it's at 13.31. Kenya, 128 shillings, 767, and Zambia, 22 kwacha 89. The BRICS countries in Brazil, the dollar will cost you 5.38. Russia, 78 rubles 72. India, 89 rupees 15. China, 7.18. And in South Africa, the dollar will cost you 17 rand 24 cents. 76 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Gold $4,162 and platinum $1,554 per ounce. Brent crude oil is at $62.77 a barrel. For any business stories you would like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business in Johannesburg, I'm Tabisolo Huku.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Celebrate life every day. Tune in to Channel Africa. Stay connected through a new website and free mobile app.
Songi songi bandeko ye likambo na motema ye ngai na motema unupara kileba juli.
We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628.
Baby
A double play of African music. Morikante Tereku is the name of this one. Before that, we gave you Makambo by Geoffrey Oriema. We're about to head out of here. Not yet, though. We have Lulu Gabu here to let us know what's coming up on today's Africa Update. Hey, Lulu.
Hi, guys. How are you guys today?
Doing good.
You know, Kat Matlala and the whole setup. Did you see the setup?
It looks
like it's solid. I mean, the ad hoc committee is there they're ready. They started yesterday already, and they're very serious. You know, so we're looking forward to that. We're going to be speaking to Mabuda. I think he is the South African Prisoners Organization for Human Rights president and prison rights activist Golden Miles Abudu. He's been in prison, so he knows what he's talking about, and we'll unpack exactly, what this means and what it highlights in terms of, the prisons also working with Parliament, and this is an unprecedented one. It's the first of its kind in South Africa. So we'll be unpacking that, and then also we're going to be speaking to Mike Arareng. You know Mike Arareng. He is going to be focusing on the arrests that were made. 300 supporters and officials from Uganda's main opposition being detained since election campaigning began last month. So we'll unpack exactly why these people are being detained. And just what it means for the elections. Are they going to be free and fair? And just the impact this will have on the people of Uganda at the end of the day. And then also we're speaking to Tina Tiata, who's a co-founder of 1000 Women Trust, and with South African-led organizations launching the Remember Her campaign in honor of women and children who lost their lives through gender-based violence. So it is a 16 days of activism, started yesterday, and this Tina will be unpacking for us exactly what their campaign is about, the campaign of Remember Her, which is very key.
Well, we're looking forward to that. That is the Africa Update coming up just in a few minutes. We've got to go off the show, so Lulu Gabu will make sure that you get the updated news here on the African continent.
Madapiri pazoshitika.
ainogeka zingeni chihana lumbiritsidwa kukhala wachiwiri kwa mtsogoleri wa dziko la Malawi pa mwambo omwe unachitika ku nyumba yachifumu ya Sanjika mu mzinda wa Blantyre. Ndiye pano tili ndi olemekezeka a Chihana. Takulandirani olemekezeka pano pa wireless ya Channel Africa pa Chinyanja Service. Amalawi ayembekezere zotani kuchokera kwa inu ngati wachiwiri winanso kwa president wa dzikolo?
Choyamba ngati vice president umagwira ntchito yopatsidwa ndi president imene yakuganizira. Ndiye malowozi athu atipatsa bwinobwino, koma ntchito yathu yayikulu ndi kuwathandiza president kuti masomphenya awo yakwanitsidwe. Pali zambiri zoti zichitike, nkhani ya njala mdziko muno, boma la udakali chimanga ndi china chomwe chili mdziko muno kuti tithandize ana families are affected. Chachiwiri kunali ma fuel shortages amene akanaliponso apo ndi apo, tionetsetse kuti pumps athu asakhale dry.
Zochitika pa nthawi ya 6 koloko kufikira 7 koloko madzulo. Lolemba mpaka lachisanu ndi Madapiri.
9 to 12 midday Central African Time. On the move with Palesa and Benjamin Moshatama.
Now, when you go to the hospital, there's medical attention that you need, and that's the only experience you're expecting to have. If you are a transgender person, sometimes those experiences can be marred by the demand of trying to understand your gender, your sexuality, and not particularly getting the assistance that you need.
One time, I was sexually abused by someone who used to live next door to my house. So when I went to the police to report, I was in a weave, I was wearing a dress, and when I got there, the police person that helped me said to me, obviously we're gonna rape you because why do you walk around looking like trying to be a woman when you are a man? And after that, the person just walked scot-free.
How do you deal with that? Because there's a double barrel abuse there. So it's not even double barrels, there's kind of multi-dimensional forms of abuse.
I think one thing that I will tell you about trans people is we are strong, not because we want to be strong, but because we don't have an option. It is what it is. Because the struggles that we face each and every day are like unimaginable.
Keeping you on the know and on the move. The rhythm of Africa. the pulse of the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective.
I've been thinking about peace and how to keep it once I've found it. I've been thinking about peace. I've been thinking about money and how to keep it once I have it. I've been thinking about money. I've been thinking about love and how to keep it once I've made it. I've been thinking about love. I don't know why I bought those plastic burgundy shoes. I don't know why it's so down that I can't even move an inch. You've been my friend on days that I prayed and nothing has changed for me. Until the end, well, you have my heart with no defenses around it. Oh, no fences around it. Let the fear bow down. I've been holding on for tomorrow's silver. Let the clouds line up. Let my mantras dance. Let my heart deliver. Let the fear bow down. I've been holding on for tomorrow's silver. Let the clouds line up. Let the mantras dance. Let my heart deliver. Let the fear bow down. I've been holding on for tomorrow's silver. Let the clouds line up. Let my mantras dance. Let my heart deliver. I don't know why I bought those plastic burgundy shoes. I don't know why. I don't know why I get so down that I can't even move an inch. Oh, I don't know why. You've been my friend on days I prayed and nothing has changed for me. You've been my friend on days that I prayed and nothing has changed for me. You've been my friend.
It's Masaki and Sanal Musician. Tomorrow Silver is the name of this one. Tomorrow is we'll be back tomorrow. So we're saying goodbye as the On the Move team. Definitely we'll be back tomorrow right here on air, chatting to you about some of the most entertaining, informative and serious conversations that we need to have.
All right, man. We leave you with Scatting with Asake. Until tomorrow, God bless everyone.